Hey everybody, welcome for our second Mad Voters Project Next collaboration. This time it's all about what in the world is a caucus. I kept hearing this caucus is doing this and this caucus is doing this, and I just went with it. But in reality, I'm like, what in the world's a caucus? And the people that run these caucuses actually have some power in our democracy in Indiana. So we do need to know about them, and maybe you want to get involved with one because there are a lot of really good caucuses out there in the world. So you all strap in. Let's find all about this silly word that is actually extremely important. Welcome to two amazing guests. We have the chair of the Indiana Democratic Labor Caucus, Jane Phillips, and we have the chair of the Indiana Latino Democratic Caucus, Natalia Galvan. Did I say it right? Galvan? And I just want to thank you two wonderful ladies for coming on here and teaching me and teaching the state. So let's just work together and, get our state out of this extremism. Let's go. Jane, and how are you today?
Oh, I'm great, Sarah. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and hello to my sister Natalia. It's exciting. It's an exciting day. It's great, like I said, to be here and to be a part of the Indiana Labor Caucus, and I'll just
Yeah,
thrilled.
thank you. And Natalia, how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
I am doing great. Hello to you, Sarah. I love what you're doing for our state. I love what you're doing for the cause. And hello to Jane, my sister on SEC labor. I'm a labor member, Proud Union Home, and so just love what she's doing and what the labor movement is doing in Indiana. I just want to clarify, though, very quickly. I am actually a state central committee voting member for Latino Caucus.
Sorry, I said
no,
chair.
that's
so
okay. We're different. So there's a couple caucuses that are like this on SEC where Jane and I serve.
What's SEC?
I'm trying to think
State
of
Central Committee. Is that
State Central
Committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, we have 1,000,001 acronyms, but I'm trying to think of the other caucuses that are like us, but we are, for Latino caucus in our bylaws, and we can kind of go through it too, we elect a male, female representative, or two genders or non-binary, myself and George Hornado, but we are actually led by the amazing Carla Lopez Owens. She's our chair, and Leslie Salazar is our vice chair for the caucus.
Nice.
Doing amazing work. But how it works for us is we elect representatives to represent us on SEC, and that's how I got into the leadership role that way. And I'm on our state exec board.
Shout out to everybody on that caucus. And
flowers to everybody.
I had George Hornado on my show last week. Really love that man and appreciate what he is doing. Just to sum up what I learned from his show is he wants to win Congress and not just go back to the way things were, but to make our systems better. And I really like that take. And Tim Peck, who's a co-founder of Project Next and is running for Congress, he has the same vision, not just go back to the way things were. Let's make things better for everybody. And, we have a lot more knowledge than we did 20 years ago or whatever. Let's fix some things. So so that's great. So you know George, because I'd like to meet him in person. That was a fun conversation.
Yep, I get to serve with George, and I know Tim. So I just moved from the 9th congressional district in Bloomington over to the 1st. So now
we lost you.
yeah. So now that just kind of happened right before elections last year, but I had some family. My family's up in Bell Post, so
nice.
I need to be up there for just some family things right now. So, but yeah, I'm sad to only be a visitor to the 9th, but my heart's still with there, and we still organize statewide.
So I think most of us understand what Latino caucus is. You're representing this group of people. Labor caucus, is that just mostly defined by unions? Can you tell us what the labor caucus is? And then we'll go into what a caucus is after you say what labor is.
Yeah, so we represent the labor unions in the state of Indiana. So, and it can be any labor union organization. So there's a perception that you have to be part of the Indiana AFL-CIO.
And what's that stand for? Do you know?
that is our affiliated unions, affiliated Federation of Labor Unions. So, but it can be any labor union organization. So, and there is a wide variety of labors. You know, we have the Bakers Union, we have longshoremen. I mean, there's so many labor unions, which is like a big goal of what we want to do. Part of our labor caucus is to make sure that Hoosiers all understand that, you know, the Gatorade bottle that you're drinking out of, that is actually manufactured by labor unions. You know, we just think it's maybe the roads that we were driving on, or the lights that are coming down, or the electrical wire. You know, there's so much more that labor unions, that skilled craftsmen people do in the state. So that's a big push that we are wanting to get out. And I can explain a little bit more about what our goals are in Indiana.
Okay, that's great. A couple of things I want to say before we get started. I just want to thank Mad Voters. I just want you to realize what Mad Voters did for me. Mad Voters found people to be on the show. They invited a bunch of Republican caucuses, just so you know, but we were not able to get anybody. We're going to keep trying, so don't worry. We'll eventually get some Republicans on. I know we will. And they found you two. They made an outline. They just basically planned the time and sent me all of the info so that I could easily do this show quickly. And I just want to give my love to Mad Voters. I really love working with them, and I really appreciate their help, because they helped me with the show last week, and then they're helping with this week. And I hope we continue. We have a whole new a new banner here. So, and shout out to Scott Aaron Rogers. He did that for me. So, because I need help, you all. I'm busy. So just thank you, Mad Voters.
Especially, flowers to Mad Voters. Kelly reached out to me, especially what they're doing in the State House right now. They're trying to get people informed. There's a lot of really crazy, awful things that are happening that people aren't really even that well informed about. It's hard. It's hard when you have work and family and busy lives and stuff to keep track of what's going on. But I know, like, right up here, we're kind of fighting data centers just personally in my own community, and people are understanding, legislation can be made that, you know, it could be really awful for our communities and stuff. Yeah. And just flowers to you and Mad Voters for keeping people informed in a way that they can keep up to date in the midst of their busy lives.
It's even too much for me to keep track of. And this is what I'm doing for my I'm not getting paid, but, you know, my job. And it's too much. And I wouldn't be able to even stay afloat without Mad Voters. And then I had the president of the Indiana Coalition for Public Education on 2 days ago.
Kathy.
And they're another group.
For Kathy.
Oh, yes, Kathy. She was wonderful. And so if you want to know more about what is happening with education in Indiana for over the last, 15, 20 years, you can check that show out from 2 days ago. But that's another ally that we can work with. This is how we stop the extremism, everybody. We learn what caucuses are. We get involved. We maybe get involved with this education coalition, or we get involved with Mad Voters. We all collectively join together and shine a light on the bad and encourage the good. And the thing that they don't want us to realize is this works. This works. What you guys are doing, and you're going to explain today on this show, you've already helped our state, which might be hard to hear because things look so dire, but they could be worse. And you're going to continue to help, but we all have to know what's going on and just work together, which can sometimes be hard because people get their feelings hurt, or people don't understand, and poor communication. But through technology and through our passion, we can do this. So that's exciting. Like, I'm so grateful to get to meet you two today. Okay, so what in the world is a caucus? Who would like to take that?
Jane, do you want to go, or I can go, whatever you prefer?
Whatever you'd like.
Okay.
I'd be happy to go. So,
go for it.
Well, as far as like with our caucus and the way that that we look at it for the state and how it impacts like us with the state. So our caucus is part of the state central committee. I know that you've heard us we've already talked about that a little bit. Our state central committee is the supreme authority in Indiana, which is for the party. And our the state central committee is made up of the district chairs and also like the vice chairs. And then it also has the national chairs as well to the DNC. And then it has caucuses. And so our caucuses have just like Natalia's caucus and then the Labor Caucus. And there's a few others that we will be happy to name as well. So it's a body of voter, or I don't want to say voters, but it's a body of, I don't want to say activists, but like for the Labor Caucus, we have obviously our officers, and then we have members of the caucus that we have we run it just like we would any type of an organization. And I don't know as far as if you would like to know like what that caucus, how that works within the party, or like what we do on.
So how many caucuses are given a seat at the table in Indiana?
In Indiana, we actually have the number,
because it's not a ton of them, right? Like I'm saying, is it under 10 or is it more than 10?
We have.
It's under 10. I put it in the chat. So I'll just name them really quickly, just in case it resonates with anybody watching, like, hey, I'm this member, maybe I could reach out. So on our indems, indems.org, if you go under party leadership, like the little tab, it'll give you access to all of us. So like, because I'm a voter and Jane's a voter, it'll give our email address on there so you can directly connect with us, and then we can kind of channel you on. But I'll just go through them really quickly. College Dems, the Latino Dems, IDAC. So that is the Indiana Democratic African American Caucus.
Oh, okay.
IYD, so Indiana Young Dems.
I've met them. Some of them.
Women's Caucus, that's our newest caucus. We just voted them in either a year ago or 2 years ago. It's blurring now.
The Women's Caucus.
The Women's Caucus.
Is their chair Roxana?
Yep, Roxana Lucas Murray.
Yep. I've talked to her. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yep, great. All the flowers. I serve on a couple different boards with her. She's out of the 3rd Congressional District, but all of our caucuses have statewide capacity and organization. So regardless if you live in Evansville or in, New Albany or, Hobart, we want everyone to be involved. And then we have a Stonewall, so LGBTQ plus IA representation, and College Dems. So sometimes you'll see caucuses with 2 votes. So like Jane, Vernbeck is also a voter. George is a voter with me. Sometimes you see caucuses with one vote. So it's an important distinction to be made, because we all have 1 vote, and I have half a vote. So I have half a vote and George has half a vote to make 1 vote.
Right. I saw that.
Yeah, just have 1 voter, and then they have a full vote, if that makes sense. So
when you're talking about votes, I just want to clear this up for everybody. You're talking about votes for the Indiana Central Committee of Democrats.
Yes.
Having votes for what you're doing with the Democratic Party in the state. Is that correct?
Yeah, but let me clarify that, because I think each caucus has 1 vote, but they could be split. Like I only have a half a vote. Vern has a half. So we like if they split, some caucuses will split it to where if you have a vice chair on the committee with you, you each have a half.
So a month ago, everybody, there was a big election for Indiana State Democratic chair of the party, and then the other seats, the vice chair and secretary and treasurer. And so you guys got a seat at the table and were able to make either half. Well, you each got 1 vote, but maybe it was 1 person or 2 people that made that vote.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it was like not that many people in Indiana that got a vote. And then I found out from doing this show that in like other states like Arizona, over 700 people elected their Democratic state chair. And I personally think we should have more people at the table. I think that we would get a better person elected if the people got to pick the person and not just a few people in power. How do you guys agree with that, since you actually get a seat at the table? Because that's interesting that you have that power.
Yeah. I can go. I totally agree with that. So we have something called convention during the summers during election years. So at that convention, we vote on our candidates for certain offices. Some offices you go through a primary process, and like a governor. So if I want to run for governor, James wants to run for governor. There's a primary process, right? And I have to beat Jane, or Jane has to beat me in the primary process to see who goes next. But we have certain roles up, and for the Republican Party too. They I think it's in state code that or statute that it's voted this way. But like Attorney General and Secretary of State, that has a convention process where whoever comes out of convention is our nominee. And I would really want to look to that process, because I think that more folks should have a decision in making, or should have a say in our decision-making process on who our next chair is, on who, some of very key leadership roles in our party, right?
If we did that, I actually am a precinct chair in my county,
Yes.
and I was a delegate at the last election. I got to go and vote for my friend Destiny for Attorney General. That was fun. And there was like a little under 2,000 people there. So you're saying instead of like 50 people, some of those getting half a vote, more like 2,000 people. And like, it's sort of hard to find enough people to fill up those. So like a lot of people get to pick to be that. It's not so hard. Like your all's jobs, to get in your all's spots, you had to go through quite a bit of work to get elected to that spot. So yeah, I really like that idea. I hadn't even heard of that before. Jane, do you want to comment on that, and then we'll move on to something else?
I've not really thought a lot about the process. I mean, that's interesting that Natalia had made that put that position out there, because that is an interesting position to for the state chair. I've never really thought of that. I think that with this past election, I mean, I could see as to where there's been a lot of Hoosiers that are wanting to get involved now. So I see that as a great thing, because I think it's important that that we give people the opportunity. I hope what this has done is it's going to drive people to want to get more involved into the counties, into the districts. And, I think that would be, is what we need, and what I want to see is for us to continue this enthusiasm and not to let this die down. And I hope I hope we can take this energy and keep moving it forward, because we have to, we can't let it stop in 2025. We have to keep moving forward.
I so agree with you. Okay, so here's what I think caucuses are. And then I want you all to tell me what I got wrong and what I got right. This is just me running for State House, me being in Project Next, sort of watching, but not really asking a ton of questions. So it seems to me that your caucuses help shine a light on each of your all's issues. So labor, unions, Latinos, what do Latino communities need? And you all get to have a little bit of power within the Democratic community to voice, hey, we want this issue looked at. And you all are like kind of the experts on what labor needs, what the Latino community needs, and you shine a light and bring it forth to the table with the people that have more power on the direction of the things that Indiana Democrats are going to look at. And you hope to get your issues in there, and then they listen to you and take some of what you're saying and put it into their policies. Is that correct? Am I missing something?
Well, I want to add to that we also, because we have each caucus has their set of bylaws that we have to follow. And then also there are some guidelines in the state party rules that we have to make sure that we are upholding. So we have to have representation in all of our counties throughout or congressional districts throughout the state. So we have to make sure that not only are we following just here, in the largest county, I guess, but we have to make sure that we are getting our messages out. It's our responsibility to make sure we're getting our messages pushed out throughout the entire state, not just at our state central committee meeting, but so we have a lot of work to do outside of our state central committee meetings, I should say. So
that's a good point. So those of you that are listening, if you liked one of these caucuses and you identify with one of them, look them up on social media, find their website, and you can enter your email, you can follow them, and especially if you want to get involved. Right, that's how. So each of you are not only just talking to the central committee, but you're doing a lot of work to pump out your message all through Indiana.
And that's, I think, the key. I think that's the most important thing, is because we want to get, I mean, it's about building, building information and building activism throughout the state. I'll be really honest, and I mean, it is very important, our seats and our positions on the state central committee. But it is more important that we are getting our messages out to the communities, and that we are building the communities and building what is important for each one of our caucuses and our goals. And like I was saying earlier, our goal is to make sure that Hoosiers understand about labor unions and the work that we do, because it's about building up the communities, especially now more than ever. So,
and realize this is so important, and realize you do not need to be a registered Democrat or vote Democrat to get involved in these caucuses. You can just care passionately about labor, about unions, about the Latino community. We need a array of voices helping with this. So don't let the Democrat name scare you. Even if you've never voted before in Indiana. If you're listening in another state, see if your all states have caucuses. I bet they do, and you can get involved. Just don't let the D scare you. We're all just people trying to help our communities. We're trying to help a certain area that we feel passionate about. I have been so happy to see independents come to our local Democrat meetings, and people that are like really haven't gotten politically involved before come. And I just want everybody to feel welcome. Right. You guys are saying we need people coming, participating, and pumping out the message so that everybody knows we're here and we're fighting for this group of people. Is that correct? Natalia, do you want to talk a little bit about what your caucus does? Because it's a community, but all of those people are very different. So I imagine that's different from union. Union is like, we are supporting workers. We are making sure they're getting a livable wage and getting time off and getting certain basic rights. Like, I get that when it's more black and white. Your issue is a whole group of people. So what kind of things do you all focus on?
Yeah, so just to kind of echo Jane, what Jane said, and then also we're building we're giving our county chairs and our counties and our different areas, like congressional districts, resources and help, right? Maybe that looks like bilingual materials. Maybe that looks like something that's specific to them. But we're trying to help our leadership build in their communities, right? Because we can't be everywhere. I think our leadership team is under a dozen people. And so we're really trying to empower folks that are doing that work in their communities. How can we help amplify what they're already doing? Maybe they're working in Seymour, or they're working in Elkhart, or they're working in Lake County. Just yesterday, I got a email from a county chair. How can we build our own county caucus or a county caucus of Latino engagement and leadership and involvement? And we want to help build that so that they can kind of make a space, of welcoming for the Latinos in their community, so that we can kind of keep that engagement all over wherever it is. I would just like to say though too that I do also not question county chairs, but work with them. Are they precinct committee people? Are Latinos represented, especially if there's such a big community in, say, like Elkhart? Are they precinct committee people? Are we finding folks to be leaders also? Because it gets so frustrating when it's like, well, where's the vote? Where are people being engaged? Well, are we engaging with them? Right? We always have to think about are we doing that work to engage with folks on issues that are important to them and important in their communities? So I will like to do a small plug too. on our Instagram, IN Latino Dems on Instagram. We have a precinct committee training just next Saturday. So Saturday, April 26th in Marion County. Thank you to IBEW for hosting us for this important training. But we are partnering with some of the caucuses.
Did you say what IVW is? What was that?
Jane, I'll let you.
International Brotherhood of, I have to like
electrical workers.
Electrical workers. Sorry.
Yep.
I like I had to write out IBW. International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Sorry.
We have 1,000,001 acronyms.
Yeah,
We are so excited to have this training for so folks, especially because there is so much engagement and so much like, what can I do? How can I be involved? I have opinions. We have these precinct committee trainings. And our first one is next Saturday. So please go on Instagram. There's a QR code for you to sign up and get more information. Even if you're not in that area, connect with us. We can help maybe bring it to your area next. Or at least give you more information. But for many years, as when I first learned about what an important role that precinct role is and how just people can get involved, but also be decision makers, I've just tried to talk about that all the time. But we're doing work like that. So
if you don't know what a precinct chair is, our Mad Voter episode we did last week where I interviewed 2 district chairs, they told us all about precinct chairs. They are so important. I am a precinct chair, and I do have a little bit of power in my community with voting and with my area where I live in Palmyra. So those are so important. And you do not have to know everything about politics. You can just come with like a blank slate of teach me stuff. We want to know your knowledge. We'll teach you our stuff, but we want to know where you're coming from. Like you're saying, you're representing a group of people that have all kinds of different lives. You want to know what their life was about and their Latino experience, and you want to use that to help others in your community. And that's such a beautiful thing. You're uniting communities that have felt unheard for a long time. I'm very concerned about our low voter turnout in Indiana. Since I go out and try to talk to voters, I'm door knocking, I'm meeting people at festivals, I'm talking to thousands of people. A lot of people are like, well, I haven't voted in a long time because the people that are on my ballot don't seem to represent me nor care about me. And especially where I'm at in rural areas, we seem to have been forgotten about, and our farmers, and we want you all to realize, guess what? There's a caucus out there. There's groups. They are fighting for you. You just have to look for them, join them, be a voice, and then you can actually help create positive change in this state. Do not feel hopeless. I feel hopeless sometimes. Having this conversation with 2 amazing women like you helped me to keep fighting. So that is a big part of it. You are not alone, you all. You all in your red state, if it's not Indiana, wherever you are, whatever community you're at, if you are not feeling heard, look up the things you care about. You're going to find groups. They're already out there. You just didn't know about them. I don't think I'm following either one of you all on social media. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to get on Instagram and Facebook and find you all and follow and tag you in my stuff. So yeah. Okay. So precinct chairs, get involved, look up the caucuses. I have a big question, and somebody asked it. I think Terry might have asked it earlier on. Somebody asked, how do you get involved in making a new caucus? I know that's something I'm advocating for. That's something Destiny Wells, who ran for chair, was advocating. She wanted more caucuses. She said, like, I don't know if there's a special needs one. Like that would be, I would think we would need one advocating for our children and our adults that have special needs. Like maybe one that's a religious one. I've heard that one being thrown out there. One for seniors. Like there are some caucuses that I feel like we have holes in Indiana. How would you go about starting one?
For sure. I can go ahead and just do it.
You start and then Jane can add. Yeah, that sounds great.
So Destiny was actually a perfect person to ask about that, because under our last chair, Mike Schmuel, who just ended his term in March, he appointed his deputy chair. So very important. The deputy chairs all serve at the pleasure of the chair. Right. We State Central Committee might have like be informed, but we do not vote on that. So we don't, unless the process is going to change. We'll know at our next meeting on May 10th. So that's our next meeting of State Central Committee. But usually there's a process, and it's in our bylaws. So in the Indiana Democratic Party bylaws, it kind of goes through that process. The first process is a council. So there's a process to get recognized as a council, but there are like little steps to get to be recognized as a council, and then that means you can attend the meetings. Now that anyone can attend the meetings, but like at the table of decision makers, you're recognized as a council member. I know for a bit, Roxana and then her predecessor would come to meetings, but they wouldn't have a voting. They wouldn't have a vote
But now they do.
until we voted on them as a
So
caucus.
the Women's Caucus is the newest one. So they got a hold of these bylaws and they started doing the steps necessary. How do people find these bylaws?
So they used to be on our website. I have to double check again. It was a bit controversial that they were taken off of the website, but if not, I can definitely bring up in our like email threads and everything, but also in our meetings, that it is very important for us to return to that process of having it on our website. Now they were getting like
they're probably updating them maybe
on the website. Yeah, the website was getting updated, so it might have been that was the issue, like not anything else. But if I can't find them, I will go look while Jane mentions.
If anybody is watching this that knows the bylaws and knows how to get them to us, if you can send them to me or to you two, so I will gladly put them up on Project Next information.
They're on there.
They're on there. Good. Good. That's good to hear. Yeah. So so that's just the Indiana Democrat website?
Correct. And if you go under the, sorry, I had them. If you go, let me.
Under resources. Yeah,
under resources. Okay. Yeah. So Indiana Democratic website, under resources, you could just print those off. And then if you've got a group you want to start, literally you can be the change we need in this world, and you can try to start this group. I'm really proud of the Women's Caucus for doing that work. I bet some women worked awfully hard to get a voice at the table. Yeah, so that's cool. Okay, so you have an issue you care about. It's not a caucus yet. You can find the bylaws. You need to find some other people that would, I would say it would probably be best if whatever you're fighting for, you're a part of. Like if you have a special needs child and you want to start a caucus for that, or if you are a senior and you want to advocate, get other seniors, right? Get other parents of special needs or whatever. You get a group of them, and then you all just like divide up the roles, the jobs that you all are going to have to do, have meetings, and then you eventually get a council. And then that council starts coming to central committee meetings and eventually becomes a caucus. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, they have to get voted on. Right, so the state central committee members have to vote on that. But I think something Jane mentioned earlier was super important is district representation. So there are 9 congressional districts in Indiana, and it's very helpful when you're starting off to really make sure that each congressional district, you have representation, that people are doing the work in each district. Okay. I think that's very helpful. Yeah.
So you want to try to find volunteers all across the state if you can. See, that's what is so awesome about 2025. We can for free get on social media and meet people. I met so many cool people on TikTok. Corinne Straight's one of my best friends now, and I solely met her through TikTok. And now we do Project Next together. And now if I'm having a bad freaking day and I need advice, I'm calling her. She gives great advice. And it's like, that she lives up in Elkhart. She lives far away from me. I'm at the bottom of the state. She's at the top. So don't think, oh no, I can't do this because I can't drive all across the state. Get on TikTok and like do a video and say what you want to start. You will immediately, because of TikTok's weird algorithm, you will immediately be paired up with other people in the state that want the same thing. Like, it's amazing. Do you know, when I met Corinne, she had 22,000 followers and now she has almost 80,000, and I met her in October. So I mean, you can use the benefit of certain social media platforms to connect, and like, this is so possible. Not only is it possible, but I would say you could find people in like a week, or like days. if you're just pumping the message out on your social media and you're not afraid to just like post a video and talk, and it's okay if you mess up or have a grammar mistake or whatever, you just get out there and do it. Like, yeah, because that's literally how I started. I just started my own Facebook page called Help Harrison County with Sarah Blessing, and I just started pumping out messages. And now every day, some person I don't know messages me and says, I'm having this problem. Can you help? And the reason they think I can help is because I am pumping out the message that I'm trying to help. And 99% of the time, I know somebody I can connect them with and help them. So you just start putting your name out there that you want to help. Yeah.
You're amazing, Sarah. Yeah, and just reach out to, like, email me. I'll help you too. If I know somebody in Fort Wayne that you need to connect with, I'm happy to help too. But thank you for all you're doing. That's amazing.
No, you guys are amazing. You're out here doing this too. You are sacrificing your time to be on this show so that we can save our state. You guys are freaking amazing. And I have so much love for you too. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Labor Caucus. Why do we need a Labor Caucus? Why do we need you, Jane, fighting for unions in the state of Indiana?
Well, it all started with this little thing called Right to Work, and it was even before then that Mitch Daniels decided to strip the rights away from the unions, and like I said,
he was our governor a few years ago.
He was the governor back in 2012, and took away rights from workers in order to form a union, or actually to pay union dues to labor unions. So it started then, but the attack started way before that with the attacks against teachers and public workers. So, and the reason why we need this and why we need unions and the protections is because if we keep it up to corporations, and of course, it's not that we want to see that there aren't good companies out there that, and I'll use this as an example. I use Costco all the time as an example. They are a great company. They provide good living wages. They don't work their employees to death. They provide good benefits. They're one of the few, but I use them as an example. But a lot of employers out there, they don't pay a good living wage. I mean, look at it. Minimum wage is still stuck at the same.
It's like $7.25 in Indiana. It's ridiculous. There's no way somebody can work full time on that minimum wage and pay rent and food and bills. Yeah, there's just no way.
And I take it back to this. It's the fact that parents should not be working 2 to 3 jobs and trying to raise their family, trying to put food on their table, trying to pay medical bills. And then people are saying, well, what's wrong with these children? What do you think's wrong with the kids? Parents can't spend the quality time with their children and raise them properly with all the other stuff going on because they can't spend the time with them because they're out there working jobs.
And they're shaming them. They're like, well, you should have made this choice better. It's like, you know what? Humans aren't perfect. We're doing our freaking best. Maybe we should just help people.
But they're not even being able to provide them a good education because of what they're doing to the public ed. I mean, it's a vicious cycle. But anyways, the reason why we need good labor unions is to protect rights, to provide good paying jobs and benefits. And so you can have a good retirement whenever you've worked all these years, because especially now, since they're trying to cut our Social Security, something that we've all paid into for our entire adult lives. And if not, I've been working since 12 or 13, and I was cleaning my dad's office at a young age, and it wasn't a child. I'm just saying, we've all been working for a lot of years. We've paid into this. We deserve it. So, but we should be able to have a good 401k or a retirement, and your labor unions will provide this to you. So, this is why we need labor unions. And it's not
so basically our government has been chipping away at unions and workers' rights since at least 2012 with that act that you're talking about that passed.
In
Indiana, our teacher unions have been weakened significantly. I don't know if people realize that, but in Indiana, teachers are not allowed to go on strike. So they cannot fight the terrible things that are happening at the state house right now. They can't strike, they're not allowed. And I think people just assume everybody's allowed to strike. Well, Indiana teachers are not, their unions have been weakened. So I imagine that's one of the things you're trying to help is strengthen unions so we can protect these people doing these great, important, valuable jobs.
Absolutely. I mean, and I could, Sarah, I could go on and on as you, I mean,
You can do a show with me another time, girl, and we can get real deep into this because I want to know more about it because I wish I could just download your brain. I'm sure you have so much information I need to know that would help us all protect labor. Okay, so
yeah,
I think most of us realize yours is an important caucus. So please, again, follow them on social and let them know if you want to help. Tiffany just said she didn't know that teachers could not go on strike. Tiffany's a friend of mine, a new friend, and she wants to run for school board in our county, and I'm going to help her with that. She's wonderful. Um, yeah, I know they're trying to pass school board as a bipartisan on our ballot now, and that will make it so the people that are chairs of the parties, the Democrat and Republican Party, will get to gatekeep and say whether those people can get on the ballot. I advocated for 2 Republicans to win school board in North Harrison, and somebody, I don't know who, paid to get an illegal text message sent out the night of the election that told everybody that these 2 Republicans were hardcore Democrats and they listed scary Democrat things. And my friend Jama, Republican Jama Goodman, lost by a little over 300 votes. And she had her own neighbor tell her that they were going to vote for her, but because they got that text message, they got scared and didn't. And I'm just like, the things that people will do to stop the better people from coming to power. So that's another issue we're going to have to work on. I'm going to use my voice in my county to find good people to run for school board, and I don't care if they're Republicans. We will put them on the Democratic ticket and shine a light on them. But are the Republicans going to do that? Well, the chair told my friend Jama not to run personally because there was somebody else he wanted to win. So I'm going to guess the next time he's going to tell someone that wants to fight for teachers and kids, he's going to say no and not put them on the ballot. So this is, we've got to fight for this stuff, you all, and we're fighting a hard battle. And I don't think everybody quite realizes how hard it is. Like that text message I didn't see coming.
wow.
And it looked like a favorable Democratic text message. It was so sneaky, and it was to scare Republicans to not vote for Republicans. I mean, you guys. So, okay, let's talk a little bit more about the Latino caucus. What kind of things have you all been able to, like, what are you most proud about that you guys have been able to do?
Yeah, I would just say, and a lot of it is just like our amazing leadership is that community building around the state, right? Is like it just being able to be present in different spaces around the state and really engage in our communities and really kind of be mindful that, like, I think a lot of times people are thinking that like the Latino community is a monolith when it is definitely not. Like there are so many different issues that are unique to, different portions of our community, and really kind of just empower, like see leadership, empower leadership, and really kind of strengthen that voice to say, we deserve a seat at the table in order to make decisions that affect our community, especially when we're doing a lot of the work. So I really feel like it's that grassroots kind of energy and effort. And it looks so different in different communities like Evansville or maybe in Gary or, in South Bend. Every community has their own unique perspective, and how, do we identify how we can be helpful and just like amplify that, whether it's, trainings, whether it's, showing up for different festivals around the state, whether it's like acknowledging, how a lot of our state legislators are really doing that work to help and, make sure that some of the worst bills in our state house are either watered down. I mean, we are at such a disadvantage right now without being in such a super minority position, in the state house. But with Rodney Pohl, he's a senator up from Portage, Ogden Dunes, that area, and he is our first Latino senator in Indiana. Like,
Oh, how wonderful.
and that just happened a couple years ago.
Oh,
I
wow.
think within the past like two and a half years, he, and so we're still making history even in, the 2020s, that's kind of happening. But, really like looking to leadership from him and from House Representative Mike Andrade and, Victoria Garcia Wilburn down, in that Fishers area, and Earl Harris, and just so many leaders really trying to keep our community engaged and aware. And a lot of our work, I will shout out our Substack. So the Latino Caucus keeps a Substack, and we were, especially during the legislative session, Carla and Leslie were really talking about, and our team that is working on that, they were kind of spearheading it, talking about the different bills and what we can do. We had a day at the State House where we had our legislators that I just mentioned kind of speak and talk to our community members and really get allies involved. Also, Destiny Wells, like you mentioned earlier, she was at that day at the State House. James Wells, who is part of our leadership for IYD and also a State Central Committee voting member. Highly recommend him and his leadership team, to come speak on what they're doing for young Dems in the state. But they were all a part of these events to say, these bills are awful. Like, they're mean spirited, and they're just so harmful for our whole state. But amplifying that so people are aware and can make their voices heard with their own state legislators.
I'm really seeing how important caucuses are now, because there's so much going into Indiana law. Most people that live in Indiana don't realize our lives are impacted more by what happens in Indianapolis right now with these laws being made. That impacts us more than what's happening in DC. Yet we're constantly just bombarded with noise about national. You all are doing such a good job of getting the word out what is happening in Indiana and how that impacts your certain group that you are trying to advocate for. If we didn't have you doing this, we would be pretty unaware of the laws that were hurting us. So you're right now, because of the extremism, because it's about 70% to 30% in our government, and it's very hard for good policies to be made, you're stopping some of the worst. We're still getting bad, but you're stopping it from being worse. And I know that's hard to hear, but if you weren't doing your jobs, it would be worse in Indiana. And we need to just kind of shine a light on that. I want to focus in on a problem I'm having, and it's why I started Project Next with Tim Peck. I don't think yelling at Republican voters helps. I actually think it hurts. I think we need to stop yelling at the voter, and we need to start compassionately, empathetically listening to them and telling them what our state government is doing. Because when I go door to door in Palmyra, most of my neighbors have no idea their public schools are being attacked. Even though I'm saying it every day, they don't know. That's not their fault. I'm not going to yell at them. I'm not going to get mad at them and say, this is your fault. This is why we're at where we're. That's stupid. It's going to make them not be on my team. They're going to be mad at me, and we're going to have more division. I wish the advocates would listen and care to all our voters and take time to educate them. Just because we know education's being attacked, Latinos need to be represented better, workers' rights need to be represented better in Indiana, doesn't mean they know. And you guys are pumping out this message. My plea is that we stop yelling at the voter and we care about them. That, do you guys have an opinion on that, Jane?
I can kind of speak to that because something that we do within my union, which is the Communications Workers of America, we actually, unfortunately, a lot of union members are, and I don't want to say unfortunately the Republican because that doesn't sound right, but let me just say unfortunately they vote the way that is not in the best interest of them.
Yeah.
And
So they're voting to hurt
again,
union rights, and they
correct,
think they're voting for people that care about them.
correct, and they're voting
Right.
against their best-interest. So I think that's
Right.
the best way to say that. So what we have been doing, and I did this quite a bit when I worked directly at the local. So I would get our scorecard, and we get this provided and it's on the national AFL-CIO site. If anyone would like to get you get the one at the Indiana State AFL for the state, and then also you can get one for federal. But I would print it out and talk about kitchen table issues. Or first, you want to find out what's important to them, and then you just look to see where did your state rep vote, where did your Congress or your state rep look, and have them actually look. Don't tell them where they voted. Have them look at it, and because when they see and they get that aha moment. Now, a lot of them are not going to tell you that they've got the aha moment, but you can see it in their eyes that they've got the aha moment. They voted against maybe the workman's comp. They vote against, safety, against OSHA concerns for us. They definitely vote against like retirement issues, or for us, still, we can pull up the right to work. Who voted against right to work, or our teacher issues. I mean, you can just pull this all up, but it's right there when you find out the issues, because it'll print out the list of bills. We'll get it, and we get provided a list of all of the bills for the year. So you find out what issues are important, and it on the state sites, it'll break it down for you. You can even go to indiana.gov and pull up the bills, and I'll give you a list of the information, and it gives you just even like a little dialogue of what each bill means. And honestly, I mean, not a lot of people are probably big political geeks that, my parents got me involved at a very young age. And, but they slide in a lot of little things where you think you're reading something about the teacher's bill. And then all of a sudden you see all these little property tax things that are slid in there where they're cutting firefighter rights and funding. And it's like, who does this? So, I mean, there's things in there that really do take some time to review, but it's so important that we get involved. So
I'm really seeing there's so much that they're doing at the Indiana State House and State Senate. There's so much. If we didn't have these caucuses zooming in on their particular issue, we're going to miss it, and we're not going to be able to stop some of the most terrible stuff. So, yeah, I'm so thankful you and your volunteers are reading all of these complicated, confusing bills that act like they're one thing, and then they're sneaking in something hurtful in one little paragraph or something. I don't have time to do that, nor would I understand it, because I don't like reading boring documents, and my brain goes someplace else. And so I really am understanding better now how I'm just so thankful that you all are doing this work. I want to protect workers' rights. I want unions to be stronger in Indiana. I want basic human beings and my neighbors to not have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to stay housed and put food on the table. And I'm just so thankful you're doing this work. So please, if you care about workers' rights, please join Jane and their team. And or even if you can't do that, if you're too busy, if you are someone working 2 to 3 jobs, you can just share their stuff on social media. You can just tell people. You can look at it when you have time, and then just tell your friends and neighbors what they're doing. And then with Latino, I would say it's very similar. It's just such a wide group of people. I see you, Natalia, saying all these other people that are helping, which I think is really beautiful, that you're naming all these people helping. You're probably doing a lot of listening. What's it like for a Latino in this area? What about this area? What about this social status with this much money? What about with this much money and in this area, in this job? I see you all listening, learning, organizing, training to support all of these different people, which is just such a beautiful thing. And I just really appreciate that about you and your work. Like, it just sounds like such a wonderful thing. And so if you are part of the Latino community, what a great place to go. What a loving place, because you all are a minority. So what a warm and welcoming place for all of Indiana. You'll meet more people trying to bring up this great, beautiful community. Yeah. Is there anything you guys want to add before we leave? We just have a few more minutes. Natalia, is there anything you'd like to say?
I would just say reach out to us, right? If you find that you want to help in your community, but you're encountering roadblocks or some, or like we have that issues like that, where people don't feel welcome. Reach out to us. I will share my email, with you, Sarah. It's on our social media also, so like you can always find me on our IDP page, on our resources page that I kind of mentioned earlier. We have Facebook, Instagram, etc. Send us a DM. We want to reach out to you. We want to help in whatever way we can. Because I think when you were asking Jane about, how to approach people, just meet people where they are. And I have found that the way to get change, even on local issues, like I'm personally fighting like data center issues right now, is learning the rules, right? I served on statutory boards. Make sure that there's public comment. Make sure that your elected leaders hear your voice, and really understand how upset you are, or what you support, or what have you. But I think so many times we're, Indiana, residents are like, well, we're really busy and stuff, and we are, and elected folks take advantage of that by saying, that passing
Just
through.
trust us. We're passing great things for you. Don't look at what we're doing.
Yeah,
Just
but
trust us.
yes, but do your best to try to find out where you can. And if you don't know the rules, let us know. We'll help guide you, and, or at least share what we know. And so we're all in it together. So I would
So
just,
caucuses are support for the
yeah.
issues you care about, you all. So look up the issues you care about, see if there is a caucus. If there's not, find some other badass people that care about the same thing and start your own. And it won't immediately be a caucus, it's going to be a council. And look up people like Jane and Natalia. Look up who these leaders of these different caucuses are and ask for their advice. You both have said you will help anybody that wants to get involved, has their own issues, maybe is the same issue. And that is how we do this. We help each other, we grow, and then we always realize we are not alone. And I don't like the term blue dot in a red sea. I personally wish I never heard it again. We are so not little tiny dots. We're everywhere. We're our neighbors who don't know public education is being attacked. We just haven't talked to them yet. And so there's no blue dots. It's the people against the people in power taking advantage of us. And there's so many more of us than of them. So I know I have a lot more hope than I did just a month ago. And a part of that's Mad Voters, part of that's meeting people like you all. I'm going to get off the show today with my heart filled with love because you guys are doing all this work for people. Like, don't lose hope, you guys. Look at what Jane and Natalia and all the people that they named are doing for us. And get involved. Even just get involved for your own mental health. Because if you are feeling alone, if you're feeling like the people around you don't care, find people that do. We're out here, right?
Please get involved in your party, in your party county parties.
Yes.
My county party, we have a great county party up here. I mean, we are playing euchre. I'm in Hancock County.
I was gonna say Hancock. Okay, that's a good, yeah.
I'm Lawrence County, but I'm from Hancock County, and I can't say enough great things about our chair and the work that they're doing. And we have drink liberally. I mean, it's a good camaraderie. And I mean, there's just a lot of, meet great people, and it starts somewhere. So
if you're Republican, go and find your Republican county chair in your party and go to a meeting and see if they're welcoming. And if they're not, form your own thing that you care about. In Harrison County, I'm part of the leadership team, and that is my biggest job, is to make sure everyone feels welcome. And I'm really proud of us. We're getting new people in
for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is such good advice. You all, I'd love to have each of you on again at another time to just really zoom into your all's issues, because I really want to soak up that knowledge that both of you have. So please let me know when you'd like to come back on. Thank you, Mad Voters.
Thank you, everyone.
And then the biggest thing is I will try to share the rules for becoming a caucus. Start with the council, find people in all 9 districts if you can, which you can by using social media. And then you just start having meetings and tackling all of the little things on the checklist that you need to do to become a caucus. And so much props to the Women's Caucus for forming, because I personally really care about that one. Thank you all so much and have a fantastic rest of your day. Please follow Indiana Democratic Labor Caucus. Please follow Indiana Latino Democratic Caucus and look up if another one that you care about is one, or maybe start one yourself. You guys listening are the leaders we need in this state and in this country. So love you all and have a fantastic day. Bye. Thank you, Jane and Natalia.